Well, well, well. I know, I know. I mean, one thing I will say, the flow of microphones coming in pretty endless, which is a great thing. I shouldn't say endless, but at least I have, you know, maybe see, 2, 4, 6. I have six. I have six. 3 pairs basically, but 6 microphones. This is the second of a pair. I was working on this earlier today, and I didn't get a chance to finish it up, so I decided to make a part two of my earlier live and finish up this MXL R144. Hold on one second. But yeah, I just want to, I don't know if it's OCD or not, but I felt like I had to finish this and finish what I started earlier. I had to bail out because it's kind of a crunch against the time, and I've got time now. And I've got, you know what I got? Hello. I mixed it up. I got some Pellegrino, Topo Chico. I mean, there's nothing like that in a cold glass bottle. Jeez, it's so good. Sorry about that again. Just bumping around, trying to get spread out. I mean, my whole table's just full of stuff, you know. All right, so let's get to it. Last time you guys saw me do this one, and I put on my glasses. That's why it looks weird. There it goes. You guys saw me do this one. This one had a really strange dilemma of it being bigger here and then smaller there, the gap. So I cut the ribbon a little bit smaller there to fit along the magnet. So I'll test it, but I mean, that technically will work. Ribbons aren't necessarily a beauty contest, but they got to be, you know, when I blow on it, that's the tension I want. But when it came, the ribbon mic was hanging out of the bottom of this. It was pretty much like a hammock. You could take a nap in it. So once again, this is part two of what I was doing a little bit earlier. So I want to finish this up. Then I have another one I'm going to start. If you've already seen this, you're welcome to move on. This is all just, I don't even know what this is. I have just so many mics to do. I just finished a cool mix for a local Los Angeles band. So I kind of came back from dinner, mixed this song that's really fucking great. And I just sent it to the singer. And he wrote me back and he gave me the big thumbs up. So that is a really cool, relieving moment where I'm like, okay, now it's time to get into the action and let's finish this mic up. And then I'm going to start one more. And once again, if you've seen this, then there's nothing to see here. Go ahead and move on. I don't know what I can tell you that will be interesting for you to hang out all this time. But if you have any questions, I will relay the questions to you. I have a video that I did today also that was on getting guitar sounds. And if you're not familiar with what I do, you can hear some of the production I do, and it's kind of weird. It's a little different. But I've you know, one thing about recording and producing, which they kind of don't, I mean, I feel like we're all bombarded with these people that are like, you know, when I mix a record and I mix some drums, this is what I do. And like a guy has like sample drums going into a compressor and he goes, yeah, listen how the low end kicks. And it's like, dude, you put a fucking real drum set in there and you got cymbals bashing everywhere. You can slightly hear the guitar player doing hammer-ons in the background. I mean, it's crazy when you have real bands. Having a controlled environment is a weird way that people think that records are made now. If you listen to the Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil, some of them had headphones on, some of them didn't. You know, a bass player, a conga player is next to all the backup vocals, and it's like really, not that they didn't give a fuck, but it was part of the energy was to move through the song and the way they did it. There was something else I saw. I saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but they didn't have any headphones on. So somehow they, you know, old studios used to have these like cool old-timey speakers that were above the window that they would talk back. You know, the producer, whoever's working, would talk to the band. And it sounded like they just played the track through it and they were just singing their backups like that. And it was just fucking genius. It just made me really happy to see some of the greatest records. Even Back in Black, I heard that Um, Obviously, the guitars were loud and they're in these little ISO booths. That during the session, they kind of demanded open up the booths. We want the guitars to kind of go into the drums, and there's something to be said about bleed and vibe. If you have a guitar tone and it's in a room, and then you have drum sets in another room, if the drummer didn't play and the guitar player hit some guitars and like a U67 was to pick up that, U67s hear everything. So, or even an 87 or whatever they're using on the overheads, that guitar will have a little bit of an ambience about it that will be like different. So if you muted the drum set and the guy's still playing the guitar in the room, you'll hear the guitar go really dead without any, I don't know, character or room ambience. And then when they engage the drums, now you hear the guitar kind of floating around the drum set. Then you have a guy like the AC/DC drummer playing with Angus Young. You got some magic. If they're keeping the tracks, or maybe Malcolm Young, I should say, if you're keeping the tracks, when you have a band playing, bleed isn't that bad. And I'll tell you another thing that people don't know about bleed. You think the bass guitar, you'd want to put that in the next state. We're in California, put the bass guitar in Arizona, man. I don't want that in drums. But what happens is if you put the bass too far away from the drums, the latency of the low end coming back into the drum mics will add a slap back to the bass guitar. So if you put the bass guitar lined up with the drums, and if you can imagine a line running across where the kick drum is, and to the left, if you put the bass, and to the right, you put all the mics on one line, miking up a band, that's a killer live setup. And you would put the bass closer to the drums because you want the low end of the bass, if it's a live performance, to kind of bleed into the drums and the drums bleed into the bass. Now, the key will be isolating the bass, not having drums in the bass, as opposed to it's okay to have the bass in the drums, but not the other way around. Same with guitars. Great guitars that have good, rejection of sound, or like Buyer 201s are fucking amazing. So if you have a guitar rig and you line up everything along a drum set where all the mics are on one line pointing in one direction, it's not going to work totally on the drums that way, but symbolically everything's lined up on one line. The best part of a microphone with rejections are usually on the side. So that's why you can have all the mics lined up, bass guitar, even if they're playing loud. And that's just a key to capturing a good sound. As a matter of fact, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I think I need to get a drink of this. I'm trying to finish a mic here. Let me finish this. Oh, I know. I was talking about the video I made on guitars. I think, I don't know if I'll have time to edit this one up, but I'm going to have one on tomorrow on a killer drum set that I was using a bunch of different microphones. There was a Vanguard microphone that's a stereo, like the capsules move, Vanguard. Then I had a MyLab, a VP60, VP, I think that was the name of it. Michael Jackson used really sick mic that was on overhead. So I did all these new mics that at the time they were new mics, and I put them all over a drum set and I mic'd it up, and it was for a pretty sick song. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get that out tomorrow. So as I have time between mixing, and I do have time in the day to really make sure I'm being really, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, and I'm married, and I'm almost 60. So I'm dedicating my life to doing as much as I can. The biggest thing I'm not really worried about is that I built a new microphone, and I have a company with 4 partners, and 3, I'm sorry. And I'm releasing a badass river mic, and I have a feeling like maybe sooner than I think, I'm going to be working on this mic. It's going to consume a lot of my life. So I've kind of put the word out there. I haven't done these MXL mics since maybe last December. And the reason I stopped is I had moved my recording studio. So only maybe a few weeks ago, I started doing these videos saying, hey, I'm accepting mics again. Because people were incredibly patient with me, because when my studio closed down, out of the blue, the building I was in got sold. Out of the blue. I had oh my God, what am I going to do? I have like a truckload of gear. And I was lucky enough to lease a building in East LA, which is just incredible. So all around me is a building. It's my own building. Oh, hey, Robert. This is a ribbon microphone. I'm going to take one apart after this one, same style, but that's a ribbon mic. And I'm going to blow on this, so watch it. When that vibrates of a voice singing in it, basically I'm just showing you the inside of a ribbon mic. And there's a lot of care that goes into making of this ribbon. These are magnets. The way the sound travels to the mic cable, which would be plugged in the back here, is that this red wire is positive, this is negative. The red wire is attached here. That's a plastic kind of a clip that isolates it from touching the metal. So that's why it's plastic. And that's securing almost like a sandwich, crushing the ribbon here. Then over here, this is the ground. And when the ground comes up to this wire, it screws in right there, but it goes through the plastic into this metal. And this makes this a ground. And it's pretty much like a humbucker pickup, symbolically. Ribbon mics are actually all microphones are headphones, and all headphones are microphones. So symbolically, ribbon tweeters are something like this, and ribbon and dynamic microphones are a little bit different, but it's really interesting on you can make a microphone out of some headphones. So I hope that made sense to you. Little Timmy James, what's up? So I'm going to finish this one off because I started it earlier and I had to run out the door, and I think I have OCD, and I said I was going to finish this outside of letting you guys see what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to finish this up, and I'm going to try to knock another one out. I have a pair after this one that I've got to get done. I've got to hit the post office tomorrow, most of the morning, getting someone sent out. And really cool news, and this is all to the people that watch this. So I'm babbling, I'm talking about microphones. Already from me doing these live like sessions of recording of repairing these microphones, I have a nice bud that I've met now from England, and he, I think, arriving tomorrow, are an incredible collection of really killer ribbons that I'm going to share here working on them. I don't want to tell you what they are yet. I'm going to look at them, and then live I'm going to repair some of the rarest and coolest ribbon mics you've ever seen. Then a person contacted me today from Guam. And, you know, I lived in Honolulu, and Guam and Honolulu, they're, tomato on cultures, but it's really killer that out of all these videos, a guy contacted me from Guam. I had someone contact me from Canada, Texas, Florida, Maine, where else? Like North Carolina, Texas. I think 3 people from Texas. So, yeah, man, I'm kind of blown away. I honestly, when I first make these videos, I just think I'm lucky if one person can even see this, and if one person even likes what what I'm writing. Earlier today, there was this guy writing in these weird. He was just being a knucklehead, and I guess he wanted to, like, get me into like some kind of dialogue with him about what he was saying. It sounds like he wasn't interested in microphones. So yeah, you get a wild motley crew of people here, but I will say that to the most of them, I've met some really great people here, and they've all contacted me, and it's really, really great. Um, hey, what's up, brother? Future Elk Boy. Um, just got in here. We got Robert and got little Timmy. I love it. Okay, so let's get this done. This was a ribbon mic I was doing earlier today, so this is technically part 2 of my live. I stopped it at this point. I had to run out the door and pick up my wife. And then when I came back to the studio, I actually mixed a song. So I kind of feel the reward of finishing a song, and the artist texts me back and said he was really happy. Is my friend Barry. Hold on a second. My friend Barry from LBC, Long Beach, California. So yeah, I recorded his band at the beginning of the month. It was real rock and roll. Yeah, I'm hoping to, maybe I'll do a video when the record's done on him. He makes his own amps, and he builds his own guitars, and he builds his own pedals. And his guitar tone is just, he plays like Les Paul Juniors and stuff. It's real like rock and roll, Johnny Thunders. He sings like Beck and Iggy Pop, and then plays guitar like Johnny Thunders. Like it's all in one dude. That's crazy. But yeah, he's been a bud I've known since he was maybe 21. You know, I've known that guy. I'm almost 60. I'm 59. Not almost 60. I'm next year April. I just turned 59. Uh, so yeah, I've known him since maybe I was 21. And he's called him Bloodberry. He's like a total, like when you see him, he's like Death Rockaberry. But at the end of the day, man, of all the cats I knew that I'd grown up with, he's the coolest motherfucker. I mean, that guy just like his lyrics are cool. He sings cool, but he's a sweetheart of a guy. When I get that done, I'll do a video and I'll point out that this is Barry's band. If you even watch my videos from these live events. Okay, I'm 15 minutes in. I have not fucking even touched the mic, and I already said my first F-bomb. I told myself I was going to be better with that, but holy cows. Okay, one more drink, and let's get to it. Paul, I was just talking about some mics that are coming out here. Oh, boy. That is so good. If you get water in a glass, a bottle, it's so better than the plastic bottles. I mean, for reals. Yes. Oh, sorry, Alan. Yes, I'm repairing. Well, not repairing. These are mics that I was just telling a story about people all over I could say the world. Guam, a guy contacted me today. My friend Paul is just, a bunch of people that are just around the world, that are just sending me microphones. Canada? I thought that's weird. I mean, fuck yeah. I love Canada. Some of the best shows I ever had were in Victoria. If I could move somewhere that would have just the perfect balance of culture, food, and being close, man, I love Vancouver. If you've never been there, it's such an amazing city. I know people live in Quebec on the other side of Canada, but I've been over there. We used to play Nanaimo, played Victoria. The food over there is incredible. I don't know if the pizza too, like people, I mean, I don't know if it's the water. People talk about New York, that the pizza's good there because of the water, but Victoria and Vancouver, an incredible city. Okay, I was gonna say okie dokie, but all right, let's do it. So now I need to get, to seal this mic up, I need to get my proper tape for sealing it up. Give me 1 second. There it is. So I'm sorry, Alan, this was a ribbon mic that through me repairing mics, I found out is one of the best sounding ribbon mics I've come across. It's $99, and what people do is they buy it from Sweetwater. First they contact me, I give them my P.O. box. Sweetwater is free shipping in the United States, so I give them my P.O. box. They buy this mic for 99 bucks at Sweetwater, and then they send them to me. And I pretty much handle this mic like the way AEA or Royer. My ribbons are this is kind of like a Royer ribbon. And what's cool is it's durable, it's really tough, has good mids and highs and tight low end. And I put these in these $99 ribbon mics, and it sounds fucking incredible. And it was an accident that I came across these. A friend of mine had like, I don't know, 10 or 12 Chinese mics. And I was starting out cutting ribbons, and I said, hey man, bring your mics over, let's just try on these Chinese mics. So I'm a producer, so I have ATCs and Neves, and I have all the shebangs for listening for good playback. And when I went through all at the time there was Apexes and a bunch of Nadies and stuff like that, which I do love both. But when I got to these MXLs, man, there's something about a big basket ribbon, and they remind me of, like, not necessarily Kohl's, but you get that big fluffy ribbon sound from these microphones. So when I would get them, I would test them before, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are okay. And then once I re-ribboned them, I was kind of like, oh fuck. And ever since then, like I said, the people from like the singer from Granddaddy, I've done his ribbons, Jason, Warpaint, and I always mention Justin from St. Vincent and Beck. I did 160s for Mr. Rubin, the drummer for Nine Inch Nails. His went out. And because I live in LA, I'm exposed to all these producers. My friend Gus, he's in Roger Waters' band. I did some natives. No, I think I did Fatheads for him. And I've gone to Daniel Lanois. He's listening on my ribbon mics. I'm working on a mic right now. Hopefully I'll get to him. So yeah, that isn't about necessarily dropping names. When you know people like that and then you're gonna offer a service like this ribbon, it better fucking sound good because this is such a small town. Like, I cannot say I'm gonna make these mics sound incredible and then get them to people and they don't and it doesn't pan out. And I think one of the reasons why I think my ribbons come out so good is I started not knowing when I started making ribbons, I started making ribbons on Buyer 160s. At the time, I wasn't aware of how unique they were, but those ribbons work like a piston going up and down when most ribbons like this move back and forth. So I designed a piston style ribbon to start replacing 160s, and I started doing that. And then when I got into starting to work on these mics, because I built a technique of working with ribbon, and then I was blown away with how Royer makes her ribbons. I then kind of formed it into how I like to make ribbons. And it comes to find out that my ribbon style sounds beautiful in 160s, MXLs, BK5s, AEA, R84s, N8s. I've done N22s. Only mic I probably would never touch, just out of respect, is an AEA R88, which is one of the greatest fucking ribbon mics in the world. Like, it's not that I don't think I can make a better ribbon in that, is that it already is fucking great. So there's no like, oh, I can make that sound better, like bullshit. That mic is perfect. The same with the Coles. Coles have, this ribbon is 2.5. A Coles microphone is 0.6. So all ribbons of the world start usually about 1.8. This is 2.5, and as you go to cheaper or Russian or weird mics, it can go up to 8 microns. I think it was called microns. So considering that a Coles is 0.6, which is like air, that's the only other microphone too that I have put 1.8s in. I even put 2.5s to a buddy that just didn't care, and it was really fun to do that. But now I feel like you got to put a 0.6 in a Coles. That's like the R88. It's such a fucking great mic, and it has a sound that those are probably the two mics that I'm like politically correct about, where I don't feel I'm making them sound any better, and I kind of don't want to because I feel like they're already perfected. All the other mics are open game for me because I do feel there's some shortcomings in some of the mics I've mentioned, but I know most of the people at these companies. So I will tell you this much: AEA, badass; Royer, badass; Coles, badass; and I mean, even SC Voodoos are made incredible, and the ribbons are totally legit in them. And then when you get into other mics like Fatheads and Golden Age, and a lot of the ones that pride themselves on like a transformer, or so there's some kind of gag to them, they're all just like this. They're just a Chinese mic with a better transformer, but the ribbons suffer. When I open up the next mic, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've only come across one that looked pretty good, but to the most part, this ribbon, like I'll blow on it, watch again. See how it blows and goes down just a hair? When these arrive, before I ribbon them, the ribbon mic is hanging like a hammock. Like you could take a nap in it. It's totally curved. The ribbon should be right in the middle of that magnet. So I'm just talking about if that was inside. That middle line is where the ribbon sits. As it moves, it goes out of that zone for a magnet. The optimum point of a ribbon is in the middle. But Royers have a pattern, and the ribbon sits a hair up. Now, how does that make sense? So if the sound hits it, and it's above the optimum point, the high sound pressure pushes it into the middle. So as you do heavy guitars, you're floating around in the best place for a ribbon mic. And if you turn a Royer the other way around, you lose a little bit of the low end, but that's really good for vocals. So, hey Paul, you know what? I will do. I've been showing. If you look at my videos, you'll see some like kind of cool samples of drums I've done at my new studio. My new studio is pretty badass, but it's also very humble. It's just honestly, probably was a mechanic or a garage, and they converted that to a studio. someone put like a Tijuana shack in the back, and I'm living, or not living, I'm recording now. I made the bedroom my mixing room. There's a kitchen in the middle between my mixing room and the other room. Initially, I was annoyed with that, but now I really love it. That's why I can get my Topo Chicos, man. They're right next to me. The fridge. You know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Holy cows. Oh, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, the Dr. Alien is just slamming. In that video, too, there is a BK5 that I re-ribboned. I was at Analoger, and I was lucky enough to have like 4 BK5s from Michael Beinhorn, who they're actual microphones that were used on Soundgarden, Super Unknown, and Black Hole Sun. I repaired one of those. And then Butch Vig had, I think, 4 or 6 BK5s there, and I did 2 of those. So when I take samples of mics, or I say like, oh, I can make these sound better, it's like getting all those mics, and some of them were not in good condition. When you open them up, there was no, like that's corrugated. When I opened up some of those BK5s, there was no lines. It was just a flat ribbon in there. So once you replace it, it's totally smoking. Okay, I said I was going to do some mics today, and let's do them. But I will say Dr. Alien, super badass. And then also Peluso, Jesus Christ, man. They have a P48, which is like an EB. On snare, it is... Actually, tomorrow, if I can get the video out, I use that on a snare on a drum set. It was just next level, man. It's so good. I can't take credit for that, but if you get a chance, listen to the new Deerhoof record. Oh shit, I just dropped my razor blade and it fell on my leg. Hold on. I gotta make sure I don't step on it. That is so crazy. It fell with the blade down on my thigh and it didn't get me. Thank you. Even if it did, the show must go on. I'll just bleed while I work. So now Mike Brodowski is a wicked fucking producer. It has a, and he did the new Deerhoof record, but his mic collection and his whole approach to recording, I mean, I think I already always had a weird style, but for a guy that has a weird style sees another guy that has a style that fucking blows your brain, like blows your mind, Mike Brodowski, man. So listen to the Deerhoof record. Those are some of the rarest Russian ribbons, Russian tube mics, Lomos, C37s, crazy dynamics on the snare. He uses a PV mic for the snare, and I think the kick drum, a PV. Actually, if you can find them, there's some PVs that are like fatheads. They're really rare and they're hard to find, but PV made some ribbon mics. My friend Beal out in Joshua Tree sent me one to do, and I was like, holy fucking shit, I didn't even know. There's my other F-bomb. I didn't even know PV made ribbons, if you can believe that. Same with Fender. Fender and, yeah, Fender has a microphone, if you can find it, but it's basically a Grundig, and it's a reverb microphone. I'm not even bullshitting you. There's a spring reverb inside the microphone. I wish I have, I'll try to get that. I can't do it now because my phone's occupied, but there is a reverb that Fender made a microphone. And a lot of like dub producers have them because you put in front of the kit and it has a spring inside them. I think it only does like one thing. Like you're never going to get it to be any other thing except that. But man, it's a super cool mic and I would love to have one. I'm going to find one. Regrettably, there was a store that had one locally and it was about $500. And one of my buddies just kind of said, dude, it's okay. And I was like, ah, fuck, I don't have that money to be just okay. So, but I do want to have it just to have it because and then I'm basically going to get it and I'm going to send it off to my buddy and have him clean it up. He does really good dynamics. So if you ever want to know, in the United States, Cole's Picks out of Nashville, that guy, he's got the Midas touch for not only restoring ribbon mics, but his Midas touch for D19s and D12s. Those have these like small little wires that always break. I mean, the guy he's a young kid too, and he's got the Midas touch, man. If you have a broken dynamic, or I used to have these dynamics that are really cool that the Beatles used. They were called AKG 160s, like a buyer. And I had them, and they were really dark. And I just thought, I'll send it to Cole. Man, just by him cleaning the mic up and cleaning the inside out, and like, foam had deteriorated or something had happened, it came back to me, and it was like, if you can imagine taking like a blanket off a speaker, it just kind of opened up the microphone. So even for me, I can walk the walk and talk the walk, talk the talk about ribbon mics. Cole's, he's just a straight up badass. He somehow, and he's well deserved of this, he had hooked up with all the original corrugators for RCA. He was a really famous ribbon repair guy, had passed away, and before he died, he was really old. He had somehow, or Cole had somehow aligned himself to be in contact with this person. And if you know anything about Cole's, the guy's super genuine, super sweet, well deserving of that, and he got everything. He has he probably has ribbon, all the original corrugators. He's got all these, like if you get an RCA 77 and it's completely crushed, he actually got the wooden like molds that you can lay the screen on and hammer it out. He's got all these, he has a bunch of new old stock parts. So if you have like a 44, a 77, a BK5, an SK46 paintbrush, all these super rare RCAs that may be missing a screw or the adapter or some, schnizzle manizzle, he has all the parts for it. So yeah, man, super impressive. He's a young guy, well deserved to get that. There's other ribbon guys in the United States that I think are really good, but for some reason they're just kind of assholes. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna paint the picture to be any other way. Cole's is just fucking a badass. And I don't know why people get competitive about that shit. Who cares? Like me filming this stuff, like this is all, Cole's would never be this way, but I'm just saying there's this like, not a taboo thing, but when I started doing these ribbon mics, there was no videos, no anyone. Like there was one guy that was really cool, and his videos were like 5 years ago when I was looking at ribbons, and I never saw anything else on him, but he was the closest guy to showing you what it would be like to rebuild some microphones. But no one ever did BK5s, 160s, 500s, 230s, all the RCA and buyer stuff. And that's all I've done. If you look down my history, you'll find crazy mics that no one has ever done, not only live, but like Cole's. I've done a bunch of Cole's live on the spot. You can't even find anything about, you can see what they look like, but you've never seen anybody corrugate one. And I've already done it a few times already live, and it's nerve-wracking, and every time I do it, I'm like, oh, this is a terrible idea. But I can do it. And there's some pride I take in that at least I can say I'm not a world-famous repair guy. I only cater to a lot of producers and people that I know or people that are in my loop. And now that I've done YouTube, yeah, that opens up another group of people, like my buddy that just wrote me from Guam, and I'm going to do 2 mics for him. That's amazing. But to the most part, I'm not looking to be the most famous repair guy. I don't want to be the buyer dynamic rep out here and be certified and can repair all your buyers. And I don't want to be a Kohl's rep. And I don't want to be, there's a lot of companies I'm not interested in being a repair guy. It's just not my deal. But like when I talk about Kohl's too in Nashville, he's a sick producer and a musician. So he's getting to live his dream of being in a band and touring. And then in the meantime, he does these really, he spent a lot of time learning about microphones and dynamics and how to repair them. I'm a one-trick pony. I love ribbons. I can say definitely like the dog whisperer who can talk to chihuahuas and they won't bite him, or they bite him and he tames them. I can fucking tune a ribbon. I can make a mic sound fucking incredible. but I'm not interested in technically, getting into tube mics, or people are going to send me their vintage, D19s, and I'm going to repair them. That's not fun for me. But this is fun. So that's why I'm building my own ribbon mic, because my ribbon mic is going to be like some of my favorite mics. And now that I've been doing it for about 5 years, repairing mics and learning about them, I've come to the first design I want to do. And it's not going to be something like this. These are kind of like, when I see a company and the first mic they make is a big ribbon that has a big ribbon in it, like, it's kind of boring. Like, okay, you already got RC44s, you got RC77s. The Royers are different. Buyers are different. Even the SC Voodoos are different. And then Coles are just in their own category. Those microphones are so iconic. I want to make a mic, my first mic, and it's going to be a guitar microphone. Even though I know it's going to be sick on the drums, I've already tested it for about 2 months when I was at my old studio. And even a 3D printed version of this mic, I could not believe that it sounded fucking incredible. And my goal is to have it all made in Southern California, which is its own, things. Like I was telling people, like, people talk shit about Chinese mics. This mic and this head basket, you cannot get it made in the United States. You'd have to take a mortgage. You'd have to have a friend that has a $1.2 million house for you to take a mortgage out on his house to find any company to make something as simple as this. The company that we're using, and a lot of companies that make mics for people, a lot of things like this are incredibly difficult to engineer and make, but China's already tooled up for it. And that's the biggest, hardest part if you're an American company or if you got to design. And I'm saying without naming names, minus possibly Royer, because I think Royer does everything in-house. I'm not sure of any other microphones that aren't relying on Chinese parts. Biodynamics, I didn't think so, but I think someone told me they got bought out too by another company. So I wonder, I don't know. My only claim of not being able to maybe say it's all made in the US are the magnets. I haven't sourced them out in the United States. I'm going to use Alnico magnets on another design. I have like 4 designs that Holy smokes. My battery died on my phone. Am I back live again? Did this work? Was I really able to bungee back to you guys? Let me know. Can you guys hear me? Hola. Did I lose everyone? Well, let's don't do it again. I have to plug my phone in. There you go. All right. Did it work? Is the clock ticking? 38 minutes. All right. The clock's working. Is anybody there? Did I kick everyone out? Let's see. It says 5 people are in. Oh, you there? It's so weird. All right. Well, sorry about kicking everybody out for a second. First I'm gonna need some alcohol here. Not alcohol to drink. Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, my battery died. When I started this, I had to take the phone off the adapter to put all the information in about going live, and I forgot to reconnect my phone. So when it went black, I was out. I don't remember what I was talking about, but whatever it was probably some baloney about something. I don't remember. But in the meantime, I ate a pickle. And, oh shit, I forgot my drink. Hold on. That's right. And then I drank half my Topo Chico. And then I spiked it with some old school black cherry soda. Jesus, I know, right? Sorry about that, everyone. When I signed into YouTube, I had removed my phone from its getting some power. I was running a mix a while ago, and I finished the mix, and I didn't charge my phone while I was doing that, which I usually do. So yeah, a little bit of a bummer. Once again, sorry. Okie dokie, so I think you saw me putting this tape on. I'm finishing up this one. And this is just wrapping up from my OCD of earlier today. I had gone through this microphone, and this is an MXL R144 that when I got it, that ribbon looks really nice. And when I got it, the ribbon was hanging in there like a hammock. This is going to another producer friend of mine. So this is the second one of a stereo pair. And then right now I'm going to start one more. I know it's already late. If you guys are on California time, I don't really start losing my mind till about probably like 12:30 or 1. I'm hoping that this next mic, I always think I'm going to somehow do this fast. But I get on these rants and these stories about my auditions for Ozzy or some kind of crazy thing that I've done, and then suddenly I realize that 30 minutes went by and I'm just like, sorry. I can only say sorry. All right, so we're gonna put these little tiny screws back in. I'm gonna lock this mic up. I was just about to, I didn't know when the battery died in the phone. When it came back on, there was no link to this anymore, what you guys were doing. So I got all my information again to do another one, part 3. And when I went back to the YouTube link, it said, do you want to continue? I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Oh, I already said my first F-bomb of coming back. Hold on a second. This one is just giving me a fucking hard time. And there's my second one. Oh, my God. What is the deal with you? It's just jammed in a weird way. Okie dokie. Let's get this one going on. And I don't even need to be... I've gotten so used to using these tweezers that when I have to put that in with my man hands, I just feel like I don't want the screw to fly out of my hand. See, like even that is just like fucking shit. It's got to be lined up with these holes, and I think that's completely off. Let me get my light on this. Alnico magnets. Oh, about talking about, yeah, you know. I want to put Alnico magnets in my microphone, but the first design I'm doing, when you see Alnico magnets in old mics, they're massive. Like those coals is like a 3-pound magnet inside. And wherever they made that was like, it's like old school, you know, probably factory in Manchester or something. I don't really have access to that, and I don't have the money to find out who can. Oh God, of course, I think I gotta loosen this one. You know, it's a lot of money to have someone make custom magnets for you, and I'm not really in that position to source that out. So, what is that? And yes, I mean, I'm gonna have to use Alnico on the first one because of the design of the mic. But if I have 2 larger mics that I'm designed, and those ones I think I'm gonna be able to get away with some Alnico magnets, which I'm really looking forward to because I have a feeling there's gonna be enough room that would accept a massive Alnico magnet. And the reason that Alnico magnets are so big is that back in the day they weren't that strong. So the bigger the magnet, the more, I have no idea why these ones, I don't remember these being really tough to take off, but they are tough to put back in. And there really isn't any other, loose. Yeah, I don't know what that is. I swear, like I go live and then this has never happened, and like suddenly putting on the most ridiculous screws that have nothing to do except putting the mic together become a problem. It's like the ribbon mic gods love me, and then the ribbon mic gremlins get me every time. So now the body of the mic. Where are you, Mr. Body? Where did I stash you? Hold it now. All right. I have a feeling you, where did I put the body? Well, we're going to get into the next mic. We'll figure it out. I think the body's in the box in the case. Hold on. there you are. All right, so on to the next mic. All around me are Sweetwater boxes, and they're full of candy. I'm not really that into candy, but Sweetwater sends you these little candy packages, and so this is a box. I have a pair that I'm gonna start in. Brand new box, and we have a story about these. So every time I pull these out, I want to tell you a little something about these mics that you should be aware of. 1 second. Let's just do this. I've got my OCD going on here again. Cannot move on. I cannot move on to the next mic. I can't leave a mic half-baked, even though it's finished. I forgot the most important thing is tagging it. And I haven't tagged this mic, which then it becomes Manny style. Hold it now. Just going for daddy right now. People are watching this. I got people in Guam checking this shit out. Come on now. Don't let them down. My next door neighbor moved to Guam because he joined the military and he got accepted to be on a submarine crew, and that's where they're stationed, in Guam. I don't think that's any kind of like top secret shit. Okay, so there's the microphone. And now we have to add, this is almost like Christmas. Like it's not Christmas unless you put the star on the tree. So Manny style is this, I'll show you right now. He told me the price. I was like, what? These are just stickers for a mic. How much are they gonna cost? It is what it is. Give me a little light here. I gotta see the bottom. Okay, let's see here. Alrighty, there it goes. It's a beauty. Now that's done. Alright, so let me put that back in its carrying case so I can make sure I've got this pair in order. Hold it now. Okay, now we're starting on the other order, which I'm going to go through one again. Now here's the truth. I don't have to go live. I could be in the privacy of my own studio doing these. I don't know why I get a little enjoyment out of it. It's kind of like living dangerous. You know, if no one was here and I fuck up a mic, my another F-bomb, you know, I'm just cussing at myself. But I get to cuss with you guys now. And you guys got to go, holy shit, Manny. I thought you said you were going to get this one and done. Okay, so here's something I want to talk about. So when I get these microphones, they arrive, which is interesting now, they're completely sealed up. In the old days, and it's the same material, this foam. In the old days, they didn't used to be covered in plastic. When I would take them out of the container, they were like chemically sunburned. So whatever the chemical is in this plastic would come up and eat away the chrome. Not the paint, but the chrome. And when I would open up a brand new mic, the ribbon would show impurities. It was almost like half dull and half shiny. It was real, I've came across some other Chinese mics that were like that. But of recent, I started noticing, and they were taping them up so they're airtight and no moisture in these either. So what I'm going to suggest to you is, if you get these mics from me, rip out this foam, maybe even this foam here too, and just put, like, you know, cut a piece of cloth or something that isn't gonna have too much lint on it, even velvet or something that's stable. And then get a Crown Royal bag if you had, like, if you drink, and buy Crown Royal, that even if you don't drink, and give it to your buddy and keep the sock, and then cover the microphone with the Crown Royal bag, and then put it in this container. You can probably put 2 of them in here, but it won't fit the clips. But yeah, so that's interesting. So when you get these, and if you get these from me, remove that, and you won't have the erosion of the chrome on this, which is still weird that they know that, and that's why they cover these up as opposed to just changing the foam so it doesn't do that. But once again, that's a big company. They make a lot of mics. Maybe it's about who gives a fuck, and they probably sell a boatload on Sweetwater. I mean, I wish I could hit up Sweetwater and be like, I guess I could find out, like, no, I'm wondering, like, how many of these have been sent to my PO box, and has anybody noticed, like, where are all the R144s going of the world? They're going to Manny's studio in LA. Like, what could I possibly do with, like, 60 or more MXLs? They got to be wondering. So I did contact MXL. I was in New York City for AES, and it's a big, like, it's almost like NAMM but for Pro Audio. And I spoke to one of the ladies who was one of the main people over there, and I said, hey, and it's not even about me trying to make money or not make money. I just said, you know what, you have probably one of the greatest ribbon microphones. If you just did a few things to, you know, regarding quality control of these, you'll have an incredible, like, the best ribbon mic under $500, period. And she thought it was weird, like, who's this guy? And, like, she doesn't look at my Instagram or whatever. And eventually someone from the company looked into it, and I had a conference call with everyone except the owner, or at least everyone that had some kind of decision making. And they heard me out, and I told them about the mic. And then they got back to me and said, no, the owner doesn't feel, you know, whatever I was offering. And all I was offering was just advice. Like, if you could just fix up that ribbon mic assembly, and then maybe somehow make a claim that the way these are installed are, like, you know, get a crew that's together like AEA or Royer, where, like, the tolerance of rejection of ribbons, and, like, Royer weighs the ribbon. So if you cut a ribbon, they're going to weigh it. If it doesn't weigh correctly, not even the thickness or width, whenever they cut it, if it doesn't weigh what they expect, it's trashed. So they care about ribbons, but that is the difference, and that separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls, is the ribbon care. That's my little story. I had one. I knew there was something in there I could share with you guys. Paul, I have to be honest with you. You may have busted me, so I'm on the spot. This is your mic. Son of a bitch. I'm busted right now. The guy that actually sent me these is watching me do his own mic. So let's keep the F-bombs down. Let's don't talk about all the problems with these microphones. Let's just keep it positive. We're going to kick ass. This is one of them. Yes, you are correct. I'm busted. Son of a bitch. It's supposed to be anonymous. So, Paul, let us know, where is this mic going once it's done? Please share that with us. I was asking, man, where's this mic going? Let everyone know. It's super cool. Studio in England. Paul was here watching me cause some mayhem. I probably said about 30 F-bombs on the video he was watching. And he was nice enough to write me And not only that, he just finished his new studio. And he has a collection of some really, really, pardon my French, bitchin' ribbons. And he wanted, and I guess he had inquired over there, and he didn't really get a response back or an enthusiasm back, which he wanted, because these are like his babies, you know? So he wrote me, we talked about them. I said, fuck yeah, send them to me. But I also said, why you're sending those, and I'm going to get a package, I think, tomorrow morning. Why don't we drop these two in it? At least save the postage of having to send a separate one for these mics. And he was nice enough to put it in an order for these mics. So, well, one thing I will say, it looks like you got a good one. I'm not even saying because of you. Usually, right there, it's totally dipped. It's a little bit slack, but that ribbon will definitely has to be replaced anyway. So, when I get these mics and the ribbons look pretty good, the only shame is part of my deal is the corrugation of these, which I make them like almost putting a Royer ribbon inside of a mic. So it has the care of the Royer, the corrugation, the cutting, the attention to the microphone. Like it's almost like it was at the Royer lab and I'm the guy that cuts the ribbons. I'm actually, it's a big deal. So let me get this box open. I'm going to put the parts into it. Hold on. So Paul, you heard my message about the foam inside. I'm going to send it to you with the foam. It's not going to be a big deal. But when you get these mics back into your world, you'll have to replace that foam. I'll put them in a Ziploc or something because I don't know. God forbid they get stuck in some kind of quarantine or shipping, and they on the way back they keep them for a little bit. So I'll make a note to get both of those covered again in plastic so they can remain kind of incubated. All right, Paul, it's time to get a Topo Chico, and you're not allowed to buy me a coffee or a drink. That is really good. Now I'm a coffee and a Topo Chico and a Pellegrino whore. So you can help me out and support me by below the description. There's a thanks icon. You can buy me a cup of coffee. But if you really want to help me out, picking up one of these mics really gives me a lot of joy. And part of the reason is because I'm a producer. I know how effective a good ribbon can really help your record. Most people record on computers today. These are great mics for studios that want, and once the ribbon's changed, and you have this big body ribbon, it's great for drums, backup vocal, violins, putting this up in front of some congas, tambourines. It's endless. Acoustic guitar. I mean, ribbon mics are the secret jam. You know what I'm talking about? They call it the bee's knees. I think that's right. Let me get this cable out. My phone is sorry. Oh, the world's falling apart on me right now. Hold on a second. This is actually no good. I just used up all the alcohol. Into the trash. No, this little cable for the phone is, my phone died. I can't disconnect the umbilical cord of power. Okay, hold on a second now. Hold it now. It's like the Three Stooges. Spread out, give me some room. It's got to look right to me. It's so weird. I have to sit in a way that I can work on the mic. If something's off or weird, it just makes me trip out. Okay, so we're on one of a pair of MXLs that belongs to someone that may be watching right now because I'm busted. So I'm going to be under a lot of scrutiny on this microphone. Don't cut that wire. So this tape is just holding on the screen, which protects the ribbon. It may have a little bit of like some sound, it does something, but to the most part, it just really just keeps the ribbon inside the magnet. So if you have a massive gust of wind or sound pressure, the magnet will fly out of the transducer or the motor. And what happens is if it hangs out of the motor and it comes out crooked, the ribbon will tear. So even Royer has those, and they're not really for sound. They're really just to keep the ribbon in. So that's why Kohl's, when they're wasted, there's no more corrugation, but they look exactly like the screen that's in front of them because the ribbon slams against it, and all these little like lines that you see disappear, and it ends up looking like a screen. I mean, usually that's why I can just open up any Kohl's mic, and you can tell real quick because that ribbon's so thin that it's wasted. And when the ribbon's wasted, it really does affect the sound. Like a wasted Kohl's only sounding like 40% or 30% of its capabilities when it's ruined. So you do have to get them done. Jack White, like changing the tires in his car, every time he does a record and he's done with the record, he sends all the ribbons back to AEA, Kohl's 4038s, and probably some KU3s or KU4s, I think. And he gets them re-ribboned because it's just like pretty much changing tires in a car. All right. We're going to work on this, and I have to get it prepared, and it's upside down. Paul's going to use them on some violins, and these are going to be perfect for that man. And one thing, too, is if people have, like, some vintage ribbons, these are the ribbons also that you just could kind of bring out when people are having a party or drinking or the artist is drunk, and you're going to, like, you don't have to worry about these. If I get these to you and you blow them, or let's say the first day you pull them back, you accidentally put phantom power and that blows the ribbon, just send them back to me. It's $30 and cover the shipping, and I'll fix this for you. So you don't have to give me any excuses or just, Manny, the mic's fucked up. All right, send it back to me and I'll do it. As long as it isn't dropped in a train ran it over, I can't do anything for that. All right, so this ribbon looks pretty good. It is crooked right there, and the tension is actually pretty good. And what's interesting about these, I always question the foil. I think it's good aluminum, but on my ribbons, if I did that, they would break. Oh, it broke. I wish my corrugation wasn't that big of a deal, or you could retune this one. But like I said, you can tell that the ribbon goes in an angle and it's hitting that corner. So the ribbon is probably decent quality, but once again, this being crooked is not good. And then also, it's too slack. And I always have this thing, I think, in theory, I stretch the ribbons before I install them. If they just make the ribbon and they install it to a certain point, once it travels to the United States, wherever it comes from, I think they're out of Torrance, so maybe they get their stuff sent to Torrance and then it gets sent out and distributed. But if you don't stretch out the ribbons, and the first time a sound source hits it with sound pressure, it's like an accordion. The ribbon expands, but if you never stretched it out so it goes back to its true form, the first time it expands, it's never going to retract into its position. So that's why, like if I blow on that one, finger through it a little bit. It's a little bit lax. I mean, it's too lax, but it means maybe when they installed it, they just didn't stretch them. But to the most part, who cares? This is going to little Johnny in upstate New York, and he's the first time he ever recorded on a computer, and his parents gave him a little money for Christmas to buy a microphone. He sees it and buys it for $99. He's stoked. How's that mic sound, little Johnny? Best mic I ever bought. Even though it's slacking and the ribbon's weird. How would he know? How would he even care? I only care because I've had a chance to work on a lot of cool mics, and I know the potential of this mic. So let me just kind of clear it out. I'm gonna let that hang right there. Let's do this one. technically. My phone died in the middle of part 2. All right. So this, just to know, let you know if you know, this is plastic. That whole area is plastic because that is the positive signal. That red cable is positive going to the transformer, and that is basically sandwiching the ribbon. That's the contact. So it squashes the ribbon, and there's a contact right here in the middle of it's a little piece of solder or tape, whatever it is, it's like a pre-made PC board, and that's the going to make magnetic contact or electrical contact with the ribbon, and then it gets squashed with another one on top, and that goes to the positive. And then this little cable right here is a screw that goes through the plastic. It's not touching anything, it's not touching that, and then it grounds out this. And so then on the opposite side where you saw me remove the ribbon, it's a little brass plate. So the ribbon is once again squashed between these two, but those two are then grounding out the ribbon, and this becomes all grounded, kind of like a humbucker. Some microphones have an extra cable of ground that comes out here. Like a Coles would have this wire coming to right here, soldering into there, coming out here and soldering there, and then into the bottom. There was a while ago, a few years ago, I don't do this anymore, but I ended up, when I was designing my mic, some of my favorite companies use pure silver wiring. So this wire, I have this wiring that's high gauge. It's so fucking sick, and it's silver. And I was actually making all the wiring in this silver. And I just think it was fucking great. But the only problem with it is it's super hard to work. And it makes it not financially feasible for me to, not only because of silver, but replacing all this wiring, doing it. I just, even though it's super fucking cool, I made those for my ribbon mic partners. I just couldn't see myself doing that all the time. So I used to do that. Look at that. So that is a ribbon from here. Let me see what the quality is. I think this is good, but it has a weird, I mean, it's gotta be real. Yeah. Let's break it apart. What I would think it would break it apart. Let's crumble it up. Oh, that is, the ribbon turned into, that's it. That was that ribbon. It's crazy. If I crush it, I mean, it's like really. So that ribbon that you saw on that microphone, that's it. All that ribbon is that big when it's in its crunched state. So now that I've done that, I'm going to clean out the inside of the ribbon, because sometimes when I open this up or factory, there may be small pieces of, all right, he says it's 523 is his gap. We'll find out. I'm going to say maybe it's, this is 99% alcohol I'm using in here. Doesn't really, I mean, it evaporates so quick, but I just have to make sure that everything's clean. Yeah. I have to do this way before I put the ribbon in, because if there's any alcohol there and I lay the ribbon in, it kind of sticks to the side of that. Okay, gap time. First, a drink of Topo Chico. Hold on. Paul says it's going to be 5.23, the gap, and that's the millimeters between these two spots. Anybody else want to put in a guess? I mean, I'll just let you know, those are between 4.90 to 5.5, 5.5 millimeters. So if anybody want to put in some guesses, we'll see. Whoever puts in the right guess. has to buy me a coffee, people will be like 7.9, 15.87, 90, 1,500% off, whatever that is. All right, so we're going to measure this. We're back at it, huh? I always think it was a good idea to go live, and then now I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. $5.14. Paul, you're close. But $5.14 is a good gap. Anything over 5 millimeters is fucking cool. In my book. Coals are 6. And they're only 1 inch. This is so 2 inches at a 5 millimeter gap. That's a massive amount of real estate for ribbon. Maybe that's why they sound good. And the baskets are really opened up and big, so it's like kind of the best of both worlds. The ribbon cut, hold on. So I have a brand new sheet of ribbon. Paul, you son of a gun. I got a coffee. Okay, Paul got it right. 514, man. You got it, dude. Well, you're the only one that played, so I guess you're destined to win, man. I appreciate that coffee or that Topo Chico. Thank you, man. Paul just got me a coffee and thank yous, and it's appreciated. I am a coffee whore. I don't do crazy shit for coffee. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I do this for coffee. My wife asked me, how many coffees did you get? I go, I got 2 coffees. She's like, great. You can buy a can of Don Francisco's espresso. It's my favorite coffee. I love it. It's like $8 US. Sometimes it's on sale for $7, and it can go up to like $12. Maybe with all the embargo stuff. It may be more expensive. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut this ribbon. We'll see if I can get it one and done. I have no problem with cutting another ribbon. And also, I do have to test these mics. So every time you see me do a mic, I still have to test this. Most times I come back in the morning when I'm feeling fresh and I listen to it and I can be really critical. And if I don't like it, which happens every now and then, like you saw me do a 160, that's the son of a bitch mic to do the ribbons in. But when I checked it after you saw me do it here, I wasn't happy with it. So then I redid it again here. And then basically it sounded awesome. So that is part of my jam, is because I know these are going to people. Like Paul has a new studio. I want these to be great. I want him to like plug these in and be like, holy shit. There's a cat named Shannon. I'm surprised I haven't seen him. He's probably like, no way is Manny going live on a Sunday. Oh my God, I'm going live on a Sunday. Son of a bitch. So Shannon had named his mics that I got for him Laverne Shirley. And I was just like, he told me that one time, he's like, I named him. And he told me the name. And then like later on, he's like, I named him. I'm like, what was the name? He goes, you didn't remember? I'm like, how How could I have forgotten that? Laverne and Shirley is so iconic with Squiggy. And what you love about Spinal Tap, that was the homie too. And the Fonz used to be on that show. Okay. My light game is suffering here. Hold on. All right. So this gap in this mic is like 5.14. I usually do about 15 or 0.15 subtracted on each side of the ribbon just to give me some room so I can adjust it. And it usually does well, and it's really close. So that's my subtraction that you see me cutting. I can't cut a ribbon to the exact width of the gap because the ribbon will get damaged hitting the magnet. So I have to put it in the gap, enough room so it fits. It's as close as you can get to the magnets, but then realistically, you got to have a little bit of wiggle room so when it goes up and down or the wind's blowing or whatever you're doing, the ribbon doesn't get caught on the magnet. You can cut them a little bit closer, but some of these microphones, like these ones that have an open basket and they're not really protected, you just have to cut it so the ribbon can last. And it also still, I think the ribbons that these come in, so like a standard ribbon in this mic is probably 4 millimeters. If they make them 4 millimeters or a little bit above 4 millimeters, it'll always fit because these mics go from 4.90 to 5.5 millimeters. So if they're making these and they're mass producing these, they're not going to measure each one and put a custom ribbon in it. They just have a bunch of ribbons cut at like 410, or whatever the variable that they know will fit, and they load it in. Of recent, I've seen them look a little bit better, but they're still malnourished, and they still could be made bigger and closer to the magnets. And that was one of the things I was talking to them about. If they can just do a better quality ribbon, whatever the source is that they're using for the ribbon, I use high grade aluminum from Japan. That is awesome. Now, and I don't know where they source their ribbon, but if you high quality ribbon that's pure really makes a difference. I used to get these Chinese mics, and they were like impurities that looked like it was like rusted, and it was just like, whoa, how can you get like rust on aluminum? Aluminum, it can corrode. I guess you could say maybe it's corrosion. But yeah, or that or the aluminum was impure. And whatever the chemicals were or whatever was happening to this mic living by the ocean or something, the impurities would come out into the ribbon. It was really weird. And a long time ago, I'd get Chinese mics where this is like a paint covering the raw magnet. This used to peel off. And I'd open up these mics, a lot of, what are they called? There were Apexes, but I can't remember the name of them. But almost every one of them, the magnets were eroded. So I actually got the company that heard that was happening, and one of the guys found out that I was repairing mics, a lot of his mics, and he sent me a boatload of those magnets. So I do have some still. I just haven't done Apex mics in like maybe 2 years. Okay, so now we're gonna cut this motherfucker. That's right. You heard me say it. We're living dangerous now. Double jiggle time. I'm gonna be doing both of his mics in one setting, and that's what I like to do. And then I'm gonna test it probably tomorrow morning. We've got to talk anyways because his shipment's coming in tomorrow, and I'm gonna get it and inspect it, make sure everything's good, that what he sent is there, and make sure all the conditions of everything are same too. Traveled pretty far, but I'm excited. Okay, so now we got this. Let's get our motherfucking ruler. Covering that high grade aluminum. That's the only way you can work with it to cut it. If this paper wasn't there, it would totally shred up. I would just ruin it. It'd be like useless. Oh, me too, man. I think Paul's so cool, man. He wrote me like 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, man, I live in England. You know, I dig what you're doing, but not even about getting the MXLs." And he listed the mics that he has that he's sending me, which I'm gonna do them here too. That's exciting. And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so the fact that he's gonna get these ribbons done and sent back to him, which means that some of these mics are really old. They're just gonna get a new lease on life. A new ribbon in them is just like getting a new pair of tires on your race car. Hit the track and use them, and I'm gonna cut this, so gotta be quiet. Hold on. Pressing on it. It's so nerve-wracking to cut the foil. Like, you can't, once you start cutting, you can't stop because the ribbon's so thin that it'll tear or add an inconsistent part of it. And like I said, this is 5 inches of ribbon. The microphone is only 2 inches. But if I cut this to 3 inches, that gives me a little bit of wiggle room if there's something happens. Sometimes I lay the ribbon in. This is 5 inches. This is hanging over the edge. Sometimes right here in the beginning of the ribbon, it gets damaged. Or as I'm loading it up, something goes wrong. With that little extra slack, I can pull it into the ribbon, and now I can use up some of this ribbon. So it does help to have that little bit of reserve. So now, give me seconds. Once again, I gotta remove it. I feel like this is the part that always gets me nervous. Here, hold on a second. Holy cows. And I gotta cut that again. Hold on. Ah, fuck. Hold on. Nizzle my nizzle. Hold on. Okay, let's put this aside. This is a corrugating. This is, you can buy those super cheap. This one I made, that's why these are darker. I found some ones from this store called Apex, which is like a graveyard for cameras and plane parts and movie sets. And I got a bunch of these cogs, and I just found ones that I liked. And then this can all come apart with these screws, and then you can replace them. I just grinded them down and changed them. As you can tell, these ones are a little bit finer, and these ones are massive. I just didn't like these ones. And a lot of these were just me not knowing what they did, so I would cut a bunch of ribbons on here. I had like maybe 8 or 9 of these kind of, and they all look different styles. But I just would look at it, and then I would listen to it. And if I didn't like it, eventually I always came back to this one. So this has just become my favorite one to use. I don't know anything about its dimensions or size, or soon when I make my microphone, I'm going to have to build a proper one, probably made out of stainless steel or something. I've got to figure out a design. There's a bunch of different designs on how you can do these. I like this because it's super tight, and I just gonna have to figure out redesigning this so it can be a little bit more consistent. I'll probably have something where the ribbon is on like they have these plates that they kind of lay in, and then this would probably end up being like that, and you just kind of roll it through it. It's almost like if it was the floor, like you wouldn't see the bottom, but there'd be like a metal plate with a guide in here, and you would load the ribbon in there, and it's guided straight in. It's a little complicated, and the AEA ones, or the vintage RCAs, are like that. Cole's got a bunch of real ones. I don't have no idea. As much as I'm an enthusiastic guy on ribbons, I have no idea what the corrugating machines look like that people use, except I designed mine like Royers, and they've worked out. But the Coles, and not really the Coles. No, Coles are fine. Big ribbon mics have a different, almost like a wave to them. There's like a soft, round feeling to them. And I'd be interesting to know what those corrugating cogs look like that were in some of those mics. Not a BK5. BK5 looks almost just like this one in here. Okie dokie. God, I'm sweating balls already. I have to turn off my air conditioner because I can't have any, I can't have any wind in here because I've done my share of thinking I can keep the air on, and a blast hits me and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm totally like, the ribbon like flies on the ground. Give me a second here. I have alcohol, Q-tips. Give me where is that? Okay, hold on a second, I gotta remove, oh fuck. The paper, that's always just a fucking bitch. I need my razor blades. I need a good one. Nope, that one's fine. Please talk amongst yourself. I gotta just not ruin this ribbon right now. Hold on. Hold it now. Fizzle. Fuck, this is so hard to get fucking apart. And that's the thing, when you work with the foil, it's not even that I'm making it sound more difficult than it is. It's just scary in the sense of like, it's a lot of money for this foil. And you have a certain amount you can get for every little batch that I make. But every time I go through a ribbon accidentally ripping it, it's just kind of like just seeing your money fly out the window. So yeah, it's always nerve-wracking, only in the sense of I know what it costs, and I just would rather get a lot of one and dones. But there is a good amount of failure that you have to accept in making ribbons and making ribbon mics. I always do these one and dones, and I really luck out, and I'm able to get one. But you saw me do a Kohl's the other day, and I think I went through 3 ribbons on those ones. So yeah, it is difficult. And if you look at like AEA and those companies, because of the consistency of the gap, like the AEA doesn't worry about the gap of the mic because they know what it is. Same with Royers, same with Kohl's. They're way consistent, but not the MXLs or the Chinese mics. There's no, you don't know what you're going to get. So when I make my microphone, my biggest pet peeve is to make sure that the gap and the ribbon cut is consistent. And I think I've got that locked in now, where I'm hoping that I can then cut a bunch of ribbons at a certain, predetermined gap. And that's going to save me a lot of time too, because then I don't have to measure each mic. I know what the measurement is. I get the, oh, a second, this thing is flopping around my hand. Hold on. Oh, holy cows. Hoochie poochie. I know what the measurement is, and then I can cut a bunch of ribbons. And since I'm only making one mic right now, I know that I can be more efficient with the ribbons that I cut, and I won't have to get out a measuring tool every time I do my mic. My goal is to have that same kind of quality control that all the companies that I love and respect. And that's my goal, and I would never know that unless I've not only watched how they've done things, but taken apart most of their mics and realized what is the deal with the big boy companies. They're all pretty awesome. I almost just had that thing crunch the ribbon right there. Jesus. Paul, close your eyes. I forgot Paul's on. This is Paul's mic. Son of a bitch, right? Paul's in England going, Manny, don't fuck it up. You said you're going to get this one and done. Oh, man. So this is high quality aluminum. I mean, it's pretty fucking great. It's nice, super nice. Right now, if I get it wrong. Everybody be quiet. Hold that thought. Let me get it in the light. Let's put this to the side. Give me 1 second. And like I said about the installing of the ribbon, you have to stretch it out. I know, Paul, you can breathe for a second. Stretch this out now. Where's the mic at? Okay, now this is the part where I start tripping balls. Because I have to be cool and calm. Cool Luke here. Just holding my business, as they say, handle. Like, Manny, do you know how to make some ribbons and install them? I just say handle, brother. I got it. I got you. Okay, so first of all, I have to put it on this clip and then pull it with this one. So let me get it to the edge. Something maybe I just have to. I'm more critical of getting it right than filming it. Okay. I'm gonna break it in half. I'm on the wrong hands. Hold on. Jesus. God. Stretch it. Not looking at the camera. And the only thing that can go wrong there is you just rip it in half. That's all. And then I weep and then I cut another one. I don't want to do that though. I like one and done. I got to stop saying that. That's like a jinx for show. Okay. Get your act together, Manny. Grab that wild ribbon that's just hanging out there ready to get fucking crushed with one of your tools landing on it. So I'm going to put that to the side, and now I'm going to get ready to put it in this mic. Not this mic, Paul's mic. Paul from England, who's watching this right now. I am fucking on the spot. If I'm ever doing ribbon mics for people and they want to come over, I say, fuck no, man. I'm doing this shit by myself. I got it. Then I start doing these live streams. I think Paul may be the first guy to have. There were some other people I had on this that didn't know that was their mic I was working on. But I just told Paul this morning that I got your mics and I'm working on them. So he made a good guess. And it is like me. It is like Paul being a little bit creepy. Like, I'm like, Paul, do you have to fucking come over when I do the... Yeah, man, it's really important that I witness this. Oh, man. At least we could have went to Nick's and had coffee. Nick's is my favorite cafe in downtown LA. Okay. I know I have a weird way of installing this, so I think I've got it right. I'm going to put a little bit more alcohol to make sure that this has a place to stick. Fuck. Oh shit. Hold on now. All isn't over. We're still in business. When I expected it to stick to the other side, it did not. I didn't fulfill the Evel Knievel leap. Oh. Cows. I need to move this over to the light. That's what it is. It's so weird. I have to put it, every time I do something, it's got to be like the way I'm used to doing it without a camera in front of me. Ribbon cards. Holy cows. It's a little crooked, but I got to get it right. I'm not too worried about this side. I've got to get that other side straight because this other side, the one I'm going to lock in. So let me just lay this down. Let's see if we can straighten this out. I feel like it's crooked up here. Hold on. Putting in ribbons is like parking a trailer. If you want to go left, you have to move it right. If you want to go right, you have to move it left. It's really weird to... If you want to pull it to that side, you got to pull it this side. Okay. Oh, man. The biggest deal is me to get this clamp in, but I have to be happy with that. So let me check in the light, and then I'll worry about this side, about stretching it out. I can't do both, but I got to start with one. So I'm going to do that side first. Give me a second. I got to look in the light, see if I'm in the middle. Yes, gratefully, the ribbon gods have looked kindly upon me, and I'm in the middle. And like I said, I will adjust this one because it's slightly off. But now I'm back to the brass tacks of... It's like, once again, Evel Knievel's ready to jump over some buses right now, and I'm either going to munch it or it's going to be a success. So we have to put the plastic bracket back on. Hold on a second. It moved. Fucking schnizzle my nizzle. Oh, man. Hold on. I'm tripping. Holy cow. That's better. And I'll adjust this one later, because if I move this one, that's gonna fuck up that one. Hold on, let me check the light real quick. Yeah, that's good. I can't breathe, because I could blow it and then blow it, technically. You have to make sure you always put that contact, that's a silver tape or whatever they're using, on the ribbon. Oh, made it. Bullseye. I'm not gonna put it in all the way. Just enough to give me a little bit of wiggle room if I have to move the clamp again. If I put this in real tight, let's say I go to line that next screw in on the other side and it's crooked, if I move it, it's gonna move the ribbon. And right now, I don't want the ribbon to move. If it moves, I just have to take off the bracket again and rinse and repeat, which isn't bad, but I'm trying to get this one and done. All right, hold on, I gotta block my finger from the slip and go into the ribbon and destroy the mic right in front of your eyes. So I'm blocking the screwdriver from slipping out of the screw and then going through the middle of the ribbon, which, how would I know that? Are you trying to give us a hint, Manny, that that's happened many times? Like, if I'm too arrogant about me doing this, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'm fucking good. And then, like, I look away or I'm not really, as I go to put the screw in, I'm not focused. Oh, my God. And you could just cuss yourself and be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm telling myself that. So we need to, and you can't tie these tight until you get them locked in. So I think they're locked in now. I like the position of everything. Now I'm going to tighten them in. The reason you don't tighten them, because if you make these too tight, the plastic bows up and then the ribbons doesn't make contact anymore. So you have to tighten them both. It's almost like doing a snare drum. See, that just slipped and went in there. You have to like equally tension it. Okay, so that's done. Not the mic, but that one side. So now I need to retension this side over here because I feel like it's crooked. And I couldn't do that before because if I adjust here, it'll pull on that side and offset what I've already wanted there. So let's see if we can be a little bit more heavy-handed now that that's locked in. Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. That looks really good. Let me check it in the light. I just have to make sure it's in the center because if it is going to move, nope, I don't. If it is going to move, if you put it in the center and I put that bracket in and it kind of twitches or moves, if I don't have it centered, I have to redo it. So now that I know that it's to this side too much, I got to move it in the middle. The alcohol, when I'm dabbing this in alcohol every time you see it go away, because the alcohol then releases it from the clamp. I'm able to then tweak it and then see if I can keep it. Let me check that. So now it's in the middle. And now I have that little bit of wiggle room to put this right. Give me a second. It's a little bit to the left. I loosened it too much and it tripped again. The rivet's tripping on me. The edge, I'm like locking it in so it won't move anymore because it's falling over that lip. So when I get it at an angle I like it, I try to freeze it. But I'm a little bit crooked here. Nope. Oh man, it's just a little bit to the left. I can't put that other bracket in until it's straight. One more time. Holy cows. No, it's too much to the right. God. Sorry. Sorry, Charlie. Racist now. The other side of these. Check it. The foil underneath it is fucking up my view. God. Bottom half. Hold on. The foil had come up underneath it and stuck to the bottom. So every time I went to look at it, it looked like it was not right. But that foil had flipped under and I didn't notice. It was keeping me from being able to get a straight line. Sure it was, Manny. A better idea. I couldn't see where it was going in the middle. Let's get some better light on this motherfucker. I need to get it in the middle, whatever the scenario is. Because if it's flexing, going back and forth. Oh, thank God. can't believe I gotta go back in and put this clamp on. Why can't we just call it a night, Paul? Come on. Come on, who cares? Don't move, don't breathe. Don't cuss. Fuck. I already cussed. Fucking shit. The microphone ribbon from the screwdriver that is screaming to just part the seas. Do little 10 commandments on me and just part the fucking sea, and this ribbon will be wasted. See? It's pulling out of my hand. Fuck. Okay, hold on. Poochie poochie. Okay, let's do the other one. Sorry that's out of view. This is like, at this point, I don't give a fuck who's watching this. I just gotta get it right. I mean, I do care, but just figuratively speaking, I'm trying to focus as opposed to not worrying about what the camera's doing. All right, come on, go in there. Oh, come on, just, what are you doing? Oh. Now that screwdriver, that screw is like the Eiffel Tower. If it was to go up a hair more, it's gonna fly into the ribbon and my work is done. I don't want that to happen, but I do want to get my light over here. I gotta see that screw. The ribbon from, so this one I'm going to tighten barely, and then I'll tighten the other one. I didn't tighten the other one because I need this one to move a bit. In case I have to schnizzle my nizzle, I have to like move that one to put that screw in. So you don't like these down tight. And also I don't want to just tighten one side and then not the other, because what happens is the plate will start to lift up on the side that I've tightened. And then when I tighten the other side down, it's going to make a little bow. And the ribbon's never going to sit in there well. So the true test is right now, because I've got to cut that little piece that's hanging out. If I got a good connection and I remove this piece, I've done it before, where if I feel like the brackets are bent, well, that would be proof. If the brackets are not bent, when I remove this little piece, the rest of the ribbon shouldn't be affected. See it move. This is very more than that. Oh, come on. Oh, fuck. You just saw it. Oh, my God. Oh, that's exactly, I just described what had happened. Fucking schnizzle my nizzle. I just had to remove that piece. It's that quick. I'm not even joking. This is like all the things that could happen. You go through them in your mind. You have to take every time you do something serious. And I was, but when I pull that and it got that little bit of action between the plates, it moved. Not hopeless yet, because my corrugation is pretty hardcore. But what I need to do now is see if I didn't ruin this. This is gonna stick to that. Oh my God. See my ribbon, how it came back to its shape? That's good. But I need to just one more time reset it. God, after all that work. Just crunch it down there. Oh my God. Well, that's a sign right there. See how it went back? That's why I know my corrugations are really good. And when you get these mics, and that was to happen with a normally corrugated ribbon, It's ruined. So let's get this again. All right, looks good. Everything looks good. But I need to make sure when I rip that piece off again. My other worry... Okay, let me check it if it's in the middle. Holy fucking cows. Nope. That's not right. It's just a little bit right. A little bit left. And honestly, ribbons are supposed to be a little bit resilient if they're really good. Even me checking it after this, I just have to listen to it. I'll have two, and that'll tell me. I'll check the low and the mids and the highs. I know real quick. And that's why I know even looking at this if it's right or not. Okay. That looks excellent. Let me just blow on this real quick. Tension. Let me just check it in the middle. Son of a bitch. Okay, let me get my lighting right. I just gotta get my lighting right down on this shit. Okay, now it's obvious. If my lighting's a little bit off, man, it's just because of the glare and everything, you just have to see when it's in the middle. Usually it's not an issue, but I got it. I know what it is. There's not like it's elusive. I'm like, what's going on? I know exactly what the fucking shit's going on. And there's one guy that's fucking making it happen. His name is Manny. And then now he has to do it. He has to back up his schnizzle manizzle one. That's good. It's not even because Paul's watching it. If I'm doing anybody's mics, they gotta be fucking right. Looking at it, I know it's off. Oh, it's perfect. See what I mean? I always know it. I know when it's wrong and I know when it's right. That finally arrived. Maybe even better than it was before. I'm just saying that because I fucking... My schnizzle and my nizzle right live on this. Okay, we're gonna do a little something something here, which I do sometimes. Because, it's a jewelry hammer. Just make sure that's flat. Make sure it doesn't... It's happened. Okay, so let's try this again. If I'm holding it wrong, I know it. I'm holding it wrong. Okay. Balls right now. Take it easy. Move away from the mic. Okay, move back to the mic. Oh, fucking motherfuckers. Jesus. Poochie. We're not done yet. One more screw. And then we're going to tighten this down. Rinse and repeat. We got to move that little fucking tail. And that little tail, what I warned you about, just almost ruined my fucking day. No, I just had to do it again, that's all. But, you know, just making it sound more crazy than it is. It wouldn't ruin my day. You know what would ruin my day? Getting a flat tire. That would get me mad. So maybe it wouldn't be too bad. Okay, so now I've got to really make sure that as I tighten these, they're really even because of what just happened. I just got to make sure this plate is really accurately holding that down. I did it. Oh, man. Worst part is we have to do a little something on this. That little schnizzle manizzles would really fuck me up when I went to go move that. So, I mean, if the bracket's not tight, thank you. Thank you, ribbon lords, ribbon gods. There it is. That little piece of foil fucked up my world a second ago. And that's what I mean. Like, when you do this all the time, like that happens every now and then, but you know it's going to happen. So every time I get to that point and I've got to break that little end off, it's always like, come on. And when I do this live with a live stream, it's just annoying. Because if you guys weren't here, I would have just done that and been like, I would probably cuss worse. It's like that. You ever seen that video where that guy like tries to play the guitar and then he breaks it? You know, every day it's like in my mind, that's what I do. I've never been one to throw something against the wall or do something crazy, but you know, my dad was super patient. My dad was so mechanically inclined. Like my dad can take apart a motor down to the last bolt. My dad had a Hemi Roadrunner, and at one time he had a Corvette and a Pantera and a little MiG. And then before my father passed away, God rest his soul, he had a Shelby Mustang in 1967. I think the serial number was in the 600s. And my dad totally can take the car apart. And like I for some reason when I was a kid, I never caught on. I just was not. I mean, people were like, you know, when my dad passed away, I didn't get the car. But for me, I didn't really care. Like, why is that? Wouldn't you want a Shelby Mustang? I don't know. I wish my dad would have had an Eve console. I've been like, Dad, give me that fucking Eve, man. If my dad had a bunch of Neumanns, I'd tell my mom, fuck no, you're not going to sell those. Those are going to me. But when my dad had the Shelby and my mom needed the money, I was just like, just sell it. Use the money for whatever you need. And she did. My dad had massive medical bills, and it gave my mom a little comfort. Mike Fuller from Full Tone Music. I knew Mike back in the day. I met Mike when he lived in a little shotgun shack with his dog Fender. And he may have been a true 40-year-old virgin. He was just like the nerdiest guy ever. And he had all these guitars. And I mean, he had great taste in Strats and all this stuff. And Mike was super cool. And he ended up being like a pedal guy. And I was the only guy he knew that had a real Tycho Brahe. And this is like in the early 90s. No one even knew what a fucking Tycho Brahe was. And I had it, and Mike knew what it was because Jeff Beck and Billy Gibbons and Stevie Ray Vaughan had them. And the only reason I knew about them is I had a Japanese dealer that used to buy pedals from the United States and ship them back to Japan. And what happens is, let's say, I'll use Eddie Van Halen as an example. If Eddie Van Halen's playing the Forum, you're going to get your fucking knees broken if you're going to sneak up on stage and take a picture. But whenever bands went to Japan, of course, you know, they're all like taking pictures. Like, yeah, go ahead and take a picture of my rig. And there was a magazine called Young Guns. And they would always have the pedal boards and all the rigs of Real Deals. So, anyways, so that I met Mike Fuller. I knew what those were, and he asked me if you could copy my Tyker Bay. Now, at the time, my Tyker Bay was worth about $1,100. And for me, not knowing some guy, and let him have my Tyker Bay to build it, he just said, I'll build you 2 other ones. So Mike Fuller's first Octavas were from me. And then ironically, Mike Fuller's Deja Vibe was from my Deja Vibe. So I sold Mike, well, I didn't sell him, I let him do my first Tyker Bay, which became his Tycho Octafuzz. And then I had 3 or 4 Clyde McCoys, and I had the best one that I thought was great. I took it over to Mike's. Mike freaked out. I want to make a Clyde McCoy. Can I buy this one? And I think at the time, maybe Clydes were like $600, and I, $400, and you got it. So he got my Clyde. No, he got my Clyde McCoy, and my Deja Vibe. I figured out what it was. My Univibe. I had a real Univibe. There's a light sensor, and there's 4 little sensors around it. When the light flashes, the sensors pick up the light, and that's the heartbeat. Well, mine was tilted. It was crooked. But he thought, before we even opened it up, he's like, that's the best Univibe I ever heard. I said, of course. I mean, the reason I think I know stuff about guitars is that when I was younger and playing, I was a beast. And Eddie Kramer, who did all the Kiss records and did all the Hendrix records, thought I was going to be the next Jimi Hendrix. So at 21, he signed me to an exclusive contract to Eddie Kramer, and he was going to make my record with my band. So about that time, I met Mike Fuller. So I had the Univibe, the Clyde McCoys, the Plexi heads, and all that stuff I was into. But I always pick ones that I end up liking. So my Univibe, which had, I didn't know at the time, the light sensor that was slightly tilted, he copied all his Deja Vibes exactly to that one. So if you open up any of the old Deja Vibes, you're going to see that light sensor tilted. That was because of my Deja Vibe. So I sold him my Univibe, my Clyde McCoy, and he copied my Octafuzz. And for Mike, that was the anchor of his company. And people were, I'm not saying I had anything to do with him building of it, but definitely Mike Fuller benefited from having me as a friend, that I gave him all the rarest pedals for him to buy and to copy. And so when I used to go over Mike's, he had a sign where in this parking lot that said Shelby here. Of course, he didn't have a Shelby because that was a lot of money. But as he became more successful, I remember that sign. So I called up Mike and I said, listen, my father passed away. It was about a year after his death. And I wanted to make sure if my mom sold his car that it went to someone who I knew, and at least keep it in the family, technically. And I just told Mike, I got a Shelby. If you're interested to buy it, here's my mom's number. And he literally came over with a suitcase of cash and took it off my mom's hand. And now, if you look at if you can, I don't know if he has social media. I don't follow him. But if he did have social media, he should have 2 Shelbys. One would be my father's Shelby. And the difference from my father's Shelby than a normal Shelby is that my dad had his brother-in-law paint it. And his brother-in-law did lowriders and cholo cars and all that shit. And he made the stripes too big, which technically was a massive no-no when restoring a Shelby, but it looked tougher than fuck. So I know if you look at the Shelbys, the one that has the biggest stripes is my father's, and that's Mike Fuller. Holy shit, I went off into another story. Oh my God. I'm at 129 minutes, which means for 2 fucking hours I've been here. Jesus. Oh no, Bebop, I'm sorry you have to witness this again. You were just like, if I don't have to see Manny again do another ribbon, I'll be okay. What are you doing to yourself, man? It's cool, man. Thank you guys for keeping me company as I stay up late. I have to do these mics regardless. And I have, I'm not going to show you my whole room, but I have open boxes and ribbon mics all around me. And I've got to make a run for the post office. The only ones that are not going anywhere are Paul's. I'll do this one tonight, and then probably, I usually get up about 6 in the morning, and I'm coming over here about 6 in the morning, and I'm going to finish the other one. I have this thing That makes me neurotic. If I know one mic is not done and I haven't tested it and it's half built like this, it drives me fucking crazy unless I can get it done. So yeah, that's why I redid the live thing, because I wasn't yet done with that previous order. And then I knew I was going to start on Paul's, but I did not expect Paul to pipe in. I didn't even think about that he would be able to figure it out that I'm on Paul's. Okay, so that's good. We're not going to fuck with that. So we're going to put the screens back on, and we're going to have first a drink. I need to relax. That shit was fucking tripping me out. Yeah, it's Paul's time. I never had to do a rhythm with the dude standing behind my back saying, "Don't fuck it up, Manny. Make sure it's right. Retighten those screws. Watch out for the schnizzle manizzle. You're going to break that ribbon." All right, sorry, that noise. I'm cutting some tape that I have to reapply the screens in, and that's why I was cleaning these initially with alcohol, because they had tape there and that holds the screens down. So I'm going to put the tape back, and I don't think I have any issues with this packing tape, especially being stuck to clean chrome like that. So once I put these back, these are going to protect the ribbons by keeping them in the transducer. So give me 1 second. I have a little thing that I flatten these out. I just want to make sure they're flat. This is my screen flattener. I just want to make sure that they're just flat. Okay, that's good. Did you see how fast I went to lift it up? And then that's why I got my little screen flattener. Flatten, Mr. Screen. There you go. Okay, don't bend it again. Paul's watching. Jesus, Paul. You, Paulie, take out the trash. Local store and get some milk. We're out. Don't you have something to do, Paul? Isn't your studio like the guy that puts the drywall is like, dude, what color do you want this wall? No color, man, because you don't put drywall in a studio. You cover that shit with fucking material. Sorry. Oh my God. I tell you, I'm a little bit like, that was draining. So when you talk about packing it up, I'm pretty positive after this, I'm going to pack it up, because that just took all, whatever I had in me today. And I already did a ribbon earlier, and I already mixed a song for a super sick band. So, and then I picked my wife up from work. I already went to 2 supermarkets. Jeez Louise. But that's okay. I mean, that's what you wake up for, right? Don't you wake up and be like, I got shit to do. When you don't have shit to do, that's when you fucking just die. When you got nothing to look forward to. Once again, about my father, a story about him. He loved the company that he worked for. And when he was 55, they forced him into retirement. I didn't realize at the time. I think I was 18, or I was young, and I knew he took it hard. But now that I've gotten older and I'm really into this, like, that was my choices in life, was to not become like part of a big company. I mean, because I'm Latino, and you're kind of brought up to be like, okay, you become a mailman, a gas man, something that is like city government. I mean, where I lived at in Almani, most of the guys that I had gone to school with all became city workers. I mean, they fucking make bank. They all got nice trucks, they got nice houses, and they look at me like, dude, you're living the life, man, traveling the world, recording bands. I'm like, yeah, but like, you have a fucking savings, man. Like, shit goes down, you're like, you're covered. I mean, I am covered too, because my wife has insurance. I'm able to be insured in that. I had an operation last year that was a little bit life-threatening. And thank God that she had her insurance, because it kind of saved my ass. So I feel it. I feel it when your life decisions have not led you to be the most secure. Like even building the studio was just like, recycled materials. And my friend Matt, and I always speak about Matt, he's just a badass. He's in Pucifer, and he actually works with Maynard. He produces their records. I think he has something to do with Perfect Circle. He may even be the producer of that. Um, Matt and Maynard had built a studio, and at their studio was like a big warehouse. He had a massive pile of 2x4s. So when I was building the studio a few months ago, I had gotten to the point where I couldn't afford to buy any more lumber. I'm out. And I used to just drive around, and people would be tearing down a house, and they have these big dumpsters, and they fill them up with real 2x4s. I used to just grab them and take the nails out and reuse them. I love shit like that. But Matt told me he had like almost 60 sheets of 66 sheets, 60 2x4s. I was like, what? He's like, just come pick them up. So I have a Subaru. It's not that big. I look like Noah's Ark. I picked up every one of those fucking 2x4s, and I was gonna, in my ISO boost, I had to, in my mind, I go, you know what? Frame it out and do the whole thing in rock wool. And I already knew that was my plan. And when I went to Matt's, he gave me like a massive amount of rock wool, 62x4s. And I thought that was going to be enough to do my whole studio. But by the time I got to the last board and the last piece of rock wool, it was only enough with even all that wood to only do 2 of my ISO boosts. And it made you go like, man, and you add up the math, and it was like thousands of dollars of rock wool and 2x4s. I could not afford that if I had to go out and buy that. And it didn't even cover all my studio. So once again, good friends and good people you can get through sometimes. I've been lucky enough to have some great friends, including some of you, that have kept me active as an artist. And everything, if you guys watching this, you guys buy me a coffee, whatever, it's not even like, I'm not even fucking lying, man. That shit goes into my bank account in August when I get paid again, whatever I make from YouTube. If it's $100, I usually get about $100. Man, I go to the store and I buy food. I mean, that's really, it's not like a wild woe's me. That's just being fucking honest. I have a studio and I get paid a fair rate. I mean, I get paid for what I earn. But if my studio's not booked, or something breaks, or something happens, you're kind of fucked to be in Los Angeles and try to be able to make a living. And I have a point now where, what am I going to go to Starbucks and work? No, I'm not. Not because I'm like, wouldn't want to do that. I'm just saying, like, I'm an artist, man. I took an artist life. So when my son's a broker. Probably clears over 100,000, maybe more between him and his wife. They probably get 200,000 between him and his wife. I don't know. It's none of my business. But he got a broker's license when he was like 21. And I was so happy that he did not become a musician. I'm not saying it's bad, but my life of living an artist, and I'm already almost 60, I've been lucky. At the time when my son had separated from his mom, I'm married again, but there was a point in my life where I was single. I had a really cheap apartment in Highland Park. I had a recording studio. My overhead was close to nothing. So, well, not close to nothing. My studio was my biggest burden with electricity and stuff. And I bought a one-way ticket to China and thought it was a good idea that I would land in Shanghai. I would go to SE Microphones because I already contacted them. They were giving me as many mics as I can carry in my backpack, and I was going to travel all over China recording hardcore bands. Like, I thought that was a good idea. Well, it was in a lot of ways, but I almost died a bunch. I got food poisoning about 3 times a month. A few of those times almost killed me. Almost got ran over by a few earth movers. I'll tell you that story in a second. I almost got robbed by 3 people in Hong Kong with bottles and broken bottles and trying to fucking get my schnizzle my nizzle. So, yeah, for me to leave the United States at the age of 45 and decide I'm going to travel all over China and record hardcore bands, I lived in Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, China, which is in the Sichuan province, Shenzhen, Macau. I lived in Hong Kong. I usually stayed on the new island, not old Kowloon Island. And it was just fucking amazing. I mean, at 45, I'm like fucking walking around China. And at that time, which was 2011 to 2013, what we're used to now on social media was nothing over there. When you enter China, everything you had that was connected to Wi-Fi does not work unless they want you to have that permission. So when I went over there, it was crazy. It was like you're blacked out. And so I would have to do Yahoo sometimes, and when I wanted to write people. And at the time, the only social, I don't even think, was Facebook? Yeah, Facebook was just started, or it was just kind of, it was still moderately pretty good. And I used to kind of, every now and then when I would get into Hong Kong, and then I realized even back then to get a proxy was to let you log into some other, like, so I would log in like Singapore, and then I would have access because Singapore was free, access internet, and then I could contact people. So for, a good year, everybody's like, "Oh, what's Manny doing? He's in China, or is he in like Bangkok fucking whores or something or whatever that people think they do?" I go, "No, I'm a fucking astronaut walking around with 160 pounds of gear. I had a suitcase full of 60 pounds of cables, and because I was worried about all my shit getting stolen, I carried around everywhere I went. So I walked around China, looking like I landed on the moon." With all my gear on me, and it was 10 below zero, and it was fucking crazy, but I loved it. And I remember, and I couldn't share it with anyone. Like I would be like, I'm walking through Beijing on January the 1st of the new year. I know my friends are at home and I don't have a girlfriend or anything, so I'm just literally by myself with all my gear walking through I was walking through this alley. I went into this bar because one of these guys in the band said, "Oh, go to this bar at midnight, and the lady makes this like wonton soup or something, and she gives it to the customers, and it's a really cool experience." I went over there, met the bar owner. I didn't drink. I never got drunk while I was over there, and no, I'd never do it again. Fuck no. In most, all due respect, or I would not. So I went into this bar about 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't really have any drinks. I wasn't drinking. Because my worry was a friend of mine had gone to Spain and got jumped by two guys and they fucked him up really bad. And my friend like has titanium bones. He's like, it's hard to hurt that guy. People broke bottles on him and his brother's head, and they look at you and go, "I'm gonna fuck you up," and they fuck you up. But he got jumped and he lost the fight. So I was already, but he was wasted. That was why he didn't overcome that situation. He was just hammered. Someone saw him, he was hammered, they took it. So I'm walking around with my life savings of microphones, laptops, everything. So I go to this bar, it's cool, it's like midnight, and oh, just real quick, that mic is done. Look at that. What a beauty. There it is, Paul. Look at that motherfucker. So I walk out of that bar at midnight, and the lady's locking up. It was so crazy because when I walked out of the bar and she closed the door behind me, I heard it lock, and I had my phone, which was lit up. So I'm looking at my phone, and I hear the door lock, and everything goes quiet, and I don't hear any noise. And when I look up, I can't even see my hand in front of my face, and all I can see is and I remember I took a taxi into the alley, but the alleys in Beijing were like a mile long. Like you just take an alley, you're in the alley for like 10 minutes, whatever, and you arrive at your location. I had taken a taxi and did not pay attention, except it took me far into one of these alleys that was lit. And when I came out of that alley of the bar, everybody had turned off the lights and gone to bed. And all I could see was about 12 to 15, maybe even 30 feet above me. The skyline was orange from the lights reflecting off the fucking smog. So all I can see, if you can imagine like a laser beam of light 30 feet above you, but you can't see your hands, you can't see your feet. and my phone like eventually just died. So it was like all night. I just didn't think. I thought I'd walk out and get a taxi, but it was so dark. So on New Year's Eve, I just was like, oh fuck. And so I have all my gear with me, and like as I'm like walking, I can see the up above me where the lights were taking me. I knew if I walk right or left, I'm gonna get out of this alley. So for maybe an hour, I walk through and I hear like mumbles and cans breaking and people moaning and groaning and movement all around me, but I could not see my hand in front of my face. And that's how fucking crazy shit would happen. And I finally got to the end of the alley, and of course when you get to the end of the alley, it's like a big street, there's taxis, and I was able to get a taxi back to my hotel. But you know, and the reason I almost got killed by some earth movers is that in Beijing, because there's so many people there, um, you it's against the law for trucks or any kind of construction equipment, or even like like we see FedEx trucks here and shit. They were outlawed because of how many people would be run over by these vehicles. So the law was at 11:59, when the clock strikes 12, on the outskirts of the city, all the trucks would wait. And as soon as the clock ticked 12, they would drive as fast as you can drive into the city because they only had 8 hours to do it. So when I would take a taxi and I knew I was getting out somewhere late, I was kind of like, oh, fuck, man. I know what time is coming up. And these taxis were like little tiny cars. And I remember I was in a taxi and we're waiting at a stoplight and the earth starts shaking. And these are those earth movers that have tires that are as big as like a McDonald's, you know? And oh my God, dude, on the side of my window, I just saw rubber of a tire go by me that was bigger than fucking anything, and it almost ran over our taxi. But the thing about it was, at the time over there, if they were to run over my taxi, the driver of that car would then pay, I think it was like $1,100 or $11,000, whatever it was a price. They would pay for running you over and be like, give it to the family. Like, I'm sorry I ran over your mom, but here's $1,100. And then they move on. And the reason they stopped that law soon after that, because when I was in Chengdu, that was the way if you get hit by a car, and everybody kept a load of cash in their like glove compartment because they would just give you the money if they run you over. But what happened was a lady who was rich, she had ran over a city worker or something. And she was really arrogant about it or something. Somehow it looked really bad, or I don't know. People got in an uproar about it. So when I was out there, that policy of being able to run over people and then just give them a few $1,000 or throw money on their body and be like, sorry, buddy, it ended. Thankfully and gratefully. So yeah, when I was out there, man, that's what was my night. When I left somewhere too late, I was just like, oh, fucking shit, and like the taxi guys didn't fucking care. I cared. Anyways, yeah, one thing too, which is sad, when I was there, I think it was the most, and I'll say this, it sounds romantic, but there's no girly action. I never went to fucking Thailand. I never went to fucking I literally worked on my birthday, Christmas, Easter, because they don't celebrate those things over there. I would just work. Like a band didn't give a fuck that it was Easter. They're fucking, they're Buddhist, you know? Their holidays are different than ours. And their New Year's was fucking crazy. Their New Year's was called Spring Festival. And it started around January the 20th. And it went on for like 12 days. So when I was in Beijing, which is one of the most crowded cities in the world, I happened to my time there was recording a band through spring break. So it was 10 below zero, the coldest I've ever been. It was so cold. I had gone out when I first arrived in Beijing. I had thermals. I used to wear these like Action slacks. I had boots, and a big fucking pea coat. And of course a scarf. Um, everything that you would consider being cold you would wear. And so I arrived in Beijing the first time, and I don't know, I've skied my whole life. I've been on the top of mountains that's been fucking cold. I've been to the snow. I've been to Chicago through snowstorms, New York through snowstorms. I've been most places I felt cold. Only in China, I was just like, this is fucking cold. What the fuck is this? And like I went walking to a liquor store and my feet started to freeze through my boots. And I was like, what is that? So luckily I didn't have to go far. So I went to the liquor store to buy like just water. And I walked back to the hotel. Now the thing was, and this is before Spring Festival, because I'll tell you about that in a second. So when I first landed there, which was sometime in like with the winter, whatever that was, I walked to the store. My feet start to freeze. I go, this is fucked up. I'm gonna have to walk back to my hotel room and maybe go out in the morning or something. So I got back to my hotel room, and when I took off my clothes to go to bed, I looked in the mirror. I'm Latino. I'm dark, but where your shirt ends, wherever your arms are out, I'm a little bit darker than where my watch. Like if I take this watch off, pants getting a little wasted right there. Hold on. So there's my, that's lighter. Well, when I got in the mirror, when I got back to the hotel, I start to like, you know, get undressed to go to bed. And I was kind of like, looked in the mirror and I said, what the hell? The whole front of my body was sunburned. The cold had gone through all my clothes and the wind, and it burned the skin on the front of me as I was walking to the liquor store. And I told you my feet had gotten frozen. The weather and the wind, which was really strong, had went through my clothes, and it burnt the whole front of my body. And I remember thinking, I'm in China. If I get frostbite, I'm just fucked. So lucky enough, it wasn't bad. It never scarred. But I asked one of the people in the band. I was recording. I said, "Where do you go to get some good clothing?" And they say, "Oh, you got to go to this." They gave me the address, and luckily enough, it was really close to the hotel I was at. So the morning I got up, and I went and I bought special like mountain hiking thermal controlled socks, so then my feet stopped freezing. And then I told the guy I got to get something for my whole body. And so I bought gloves and this like almost like a Spider-Man suit that I would wear under my clothes. And I remember the next day when I went to the band, the guy goes, "Let me see your hands." And I have these gloves on. And then a part of the shirt was visible, the one that I bought. And he looks at me and he says something in Chinese to the other guy, and they all started laughing. I'm like, "What are you guys laughing at?" They're like, "You're wearing women's clothing." I was just like, what? The guy sold me women's gloves and like this women under like suit that looks like Batman. No one fucking wears that. But then for the rest of my trip in China, I was like a woman Spider-Man going out into the world to save myself from getting frostbitten. Oh my God, it was fucking fun. They were only gloves that were warm, and everybody would see me and they would know those. I don't know how they look like black gloves to me, but everybody in China knew that they were women. I would arrive and the band would be like, "Why are you wearing women's gloves?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not going to repeat the story anymore, man. Just don't worry about it. Let's record." So, yeah, that was my story of having women's Spider-Man thermal clothing on to keep myself from getting frostbite and dying. Anyways, there's a bunch more of those, man. But I think we're winding down. Let me see here. We're putting this together slowly. I told myself I was not going to tell any more stories, and I was going to move efficiently through this microphone because Paul's watching. And even though Paul's on English time, he's like, "Fuck this shit." Actually, I think my wife is calling me. Huh, Paul? You're like, "Yeah, she's calling me right now. I got to go, Manny. Thanks." Holy smoke. So this came out really good. I like the tension. I like the way it looks. I still need to test it tomorrow. If any of these mics that I do that I don't like the way they are, or the way they, you know, when I put them all together, I will test them. I'll redo them. So these are kind of locked in with these plate that they only go one way. This will only, even though this is round, it only locks in that way. This will lock in that way, and it keeps it. This is always the front, which is positive, and that would be negative. So give me 1 second. Let me just put, oh, hold on, I gotta tighten this. And it's ridiculous when we tighten it in front of the camera, and it's like, it's not right. Hold on. Okay. So there it is. And now what I always do, it's time for Daddy to put the mark of Original GravityWave Microphone Company, OGMC, Original GravityWave Microphone Company. I know that doesn't make sense, but I was trying to get the initials of OGMC. And when I got that on my Instagram many years ago, it wasn't taken. And I know a bunch of MCs have got to be pissed now because when they go to do their Instagram, they can't get OGMC. And I have it. All right, Paul, there is one and done. I've got to get the other one, but I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. And we're going to check this one through my Neves and API in the morning. So anyone that was watching this, I'm sorry. There's a lot of F-bombs. There's some weird stories. But I don't know. I had plans to do this drum video. I don't know if I'll get some time to do it. I'll try to get it done. Maybe I'll release that tomorrow. And I'm supposed to get Paul's microphones tomorrow. Oh, man, thank you. Thank you for everyone that hung out here. Today was a long day of a bunch of MXLs. And like I said, I'm sharing this, one, to kind of break the mystery of what ribbon mics are. No one ever does any. I know for a fact, in the history of the world, no one has ever done a live video breakdown of a Coles microphone to show you how to do it. No one's ever done a Bayer 160. No one's ever done BK5s. No one. I did one of the rarest ribbons on earth, a Telefunken from the 1930s or 40s. I've done that. You know, it's not that like I want to get patted on my back, as I'm just trying to break this, men's club of these guys. Minus, I'm not speaking about Coles out of Nashville. That guy's just fucking too busy. He's helping everybody get their mics in order. That guy does really cool tutorials. It's more about what do the mics sound like and all that stuff. I happen to be not that much into the tutorials because I'm recording just bands. I'm not making a demo, but I will say that for doing 160s live, doing Coles live, hopefully someone will be inspired by that. That's it. It's just inspiration. Now, before I go, I'm going to look at the messages because once I save this and turn this off, I won't be able to see anybody's messages. So I know it's late. Let me just kind of see what some questions are going on here, if anybody had anything. Okay, there's the gap where I lost contact with everyone. Let me see here. Paul sent me $5 for coffee. Thank you, Paul. If you want to help me out, below the description, there's a little thanks icon. You can buy me a cup of coffee. But best of all, you can also pick up one of these mics. You just write me an email and we'll work it out. I just found your channel. Thank you, Busado Mems. He said he just found the channel. That's cool. Thank you. And then Paul's writing me. The Absurdist. I can't believe you're going through this again and watching this. Sorry. Let's see here. Bebob joined us. What an epic mofo. Let's see what else. Paul. Thank you, Paul. I just want to make sure I just cover everyone. The thing is, once I end this, I can't see anybody asking me any questions and stuff. Paul's talking about his building of his studio, which is congratulations. I think it's done. question, sorry. Can you slow down? I'm not sure what I was doing then, but I tried to. Picturing Mad Max in China. It was like Mad Max in China. Let's see. You wouldn't think that with this being so close to. I know, man. And what's crazy about China is that I had a special visa that would let me come in and out of the country. If you don't have that visa, like all expats, after 3 months, you have to travel outside of China. So guys that I know would travel up to Mongolia. And you would have to leave China, take a train to Mongolia. But you used to have to know how to say no war in China, whatever that is. Let's say it's, I'm not going to imitate being Chinese, but listen, the reason is if you're an expat or white, or people thought I was from India, like an Indian from India, not Mexican Indian, which I am. I'm Indian and Mexican. They would, if someone walked up to you once you hit Mongolia and they go war and you don't say no war, they'll fucking fuck you up. So everybody had to learn how to say. So I said, "Fuck that shit. I'm not going to Mongolia." I ended up going to Hong Kong, which was the same of leaving. But if you were up in the northern part, wherever Mongolia is closest to, that I think Beijing, that was easier for them to do that. They could take a train overnight to Mongolia. They wake up in the morning, they get back on another train, and they come back, and you fulfilled leaving China. But you had to learn how to say no war. And the other thing about China too, they didn't want people to travel at night alone. A lot of people will go out drinking, and when you get vodka and stuff in you, you feel really warm. And people would go, like a son would go out drinking, and then the mom would wake up in the morning, and like the son was dead at the doorstep of their house because he died from the cold. So there was all these crazy stories about what happens and what to do and what not to do in China. There's more. I'll just got to remember, but we'll figure it out. But anyways, I'm going through the questions. Everybody says, cool questions. Well, listen, you guys take care. That was it. I'm out, and I will see what if I can get that video out tomorrow of drums. That's fucking totally badass. And then, of course, Paul's mics are gonna arrive tomorrow, which are gonna be wicked vintage badass mics that I'll do some live tutorials on them. But once again, I just hope you learned something, and you don't have to buy anything, man. Just experience it. I wish when I was doing ribbon mics and I started, I could have watched some channels to experience the, failing and then succeeding. And it's more about you have to fail to succeed. So that's why I do these. All right, everyone, have a good night.